Hi everybody, welcome to Quint versus Dixon, NCAA Tournament Edition, the round of 16 with 8 games. First category we're going to look at, who has the toughest draw? What do you think, Mark?
Quint, I think there are a number of teams with a tough draw in the first round this year. The committee did an outstanding job of matching quality opponents versus some of the seeded teams. But I think if you really look at it, the Denver Pioneers face perhaps the toughest draw. At the number 4 seed, they get the Albany Great Danes. And the Danes are humming offensively right now. The Thompson trio, as efficient as any attack unit in the country. They get some good supportive midfield scoring. And when you look at Denver, who have lost 2 out of their last 4, the Achilles heel for the Pioneers is the defensive side of the field. So I think in that vein, Denver has the toughest draw.
I think there are 3 games you can pick from in this category. It's the ACC hosts, which would be Lehigh at North Carolina, Cornell at Maryland, or Loyola at Duke. I think the toughest draw, considering the quality of the team, Cornell Big Red, national championship caliber team, a lot of 1-goal losses. They got to go to Byrd Stadium in College Park. That, my friends, is a tough draw. Our next category, what is the best game of the first round? There's a lot to pick from. You know, I look at the bracket, and all except the Detroit-Notre Dame game have a reason to watch. I really think that Bryant's going to be able to keep it tight with Syracuse if they can win faceoffs. But the overall best game, the game I'm most eager to watch, is the first game on the slate. That's noon on ESPN2 Saturday. The Lehigh Mountain Hawks. It's a program led by Kevin Kessenich. I have a lot of respect for. Kessenich played at Duke. He knows the ACC. Facing the Carolina team, seeded 5th. Everyone says, oh, they should have been seeded 2nd or 3rd. They're going to play with a chip on their shoulders. Love their attack of Marcus Holman, Joey Sankey, Jimmy Bitter, but Lehigh's not going to back down. These are going to be 2 tough teams hell-bent on making the next round. This game is going to be off the charts.
The first round is just littered with outstanding contests. How can I pick against a matchup like Cornell-Maryland, which 3 weeks ago many thought would be the national championship game? Albany-Denver, with all the offense that should be flowing in the Mile High City. But I think the best game of the first round is Loyola versus Duke. The Blue Devils have been to 6 consecutive championship weekends. The Loyola Greyhounds, they are defending national champions. And keep in mind, back when Duke handed Loyola their only road loss of the season back in March, Josh Hawkins did not play. He's available for this game. Loyola is a much better team with him in the lineup. Loyola Duke, your best first round game.
Our final category, what's the best individual matchup of the first round? And as I look at my bracket, Loyola against Duke, I think about Joe Fletcher covering Jordan Wolfe. Cornell, Rob Pennell. Michael Earhart, potentially of Maryland, will draw that assignment. You think about Denver and Albany and what Lyle Thompson and Eric Law mean offensively. Those guys should have an advantage in that ball game. Lehigh, North Carolina, again, offensive advantage in that game. Penn State, Yale, a defensive struggle. And I think the best individual matchup of the whole first round is the face-offs. Danny Hennigan of Penn State, he's a very successful face-off man. Meanwhile, Dylan Levings of Yale, really dominant in the Ivy League tournament. A low-scoring, long possession type game where the difference could be the face-offs. It's Dylan Levings against Danny Hennigan.
You named some great individual matchups right there, and there's more to be had. You have Ty Souders, the defenseman for Lehigh, taking on Marcus Holman of North Carolina. How about the goalies in the Towson, Ohio State game? Andrew Wiscavage and Greg Dutton squaring off, not head-to-head per se, but they will make the shooters' lives very, very difficult in that game in Columbus. But I think maybe the best individual matchup of the first round is Mason Poley, the long-stick midfielder for Bryant, against Syracuse midfielder Jojo Marasco. Poley is a galvanizing force for the Bulldogs. He's a force between the lines, brings people to their feet, 14 goals and 8 assists, so he's offensive-minded as well. Jojo Marasco, he is the playmaker for the Syracuse Orange, having a Tewaaraton-type season, first-team All-American-type season, 35 assists. So his vision and him dishing is key to the Syracuse offense. Poley versus Marasco, that's a good one to watch Sunday night in the Carrier Dome.
Great work, Mark. The fans can watch all these games on the ESPN networks. Things kick off on Saturday at noon on ESPN2. It'll be Eamon McEnany and Paul Carcaterra with producer John Kettering. That's game 1. It's Lehigh at North Carolina. You get 3 games after that on the U. I'll be in the studio in Charlotte, North Carolina. And then Sunday we start things on ESPN2 as well. Cornell at Maryland. And the last game finishes up on Sunday night from Syracuse on ESPNU at 7:30. And we'll wrap things up from the Charlotte studio. Enjoy all the action. You can follow it right here at InsideLacrosse.com. On TV, it's either ESPN2 or ESPNU.